Tonight marks 5 weeks since the city of Columbia evacuated the Colony Apartments. Some units still are not ready for people to move in.
The future of that federally subsidized complex is unclear tonight as it faces code violations and the threat of losing that federal funding.
Chris Joseph followed up on the situation today and has details on how many units have not been cleared yet by the city. Chris?
Dondi, as of this morning, the Columbia Richland Fire Department tells me that there are 10 units that have yet to get that okay. For context, that's out of 300. Now, the ownership of this apartment complex has been under increasing scrutiny from both the city and the federal government. The Colony Apartments are federally subsidized, and in the last 5 weeks, they've been locally inspected. After evacuating the residents, Columbia officials were tasked with approving the 300 apartments. As of January 31st, 290 were approved for rehabilitation, and code violations have been identified along the way.
I mean, look, I got a 4-inch notebook here with all the violations, all the documentation here. This didn't happen overnight.
Those violations could come with a steep fine. Tuesday morning, the state newspaper reported the city has prepared a quote of almost $200,000 in fines and repair costs for the Monroe Group, which owns the property. The city has not confirmed those figures for WIS, and the Monroe Group didn't return a request for comment. It's unclear what other steps the city may take against the Monroe Group, but city officials say displacing residents is not the goal.
It's not what we want to do. What we want to do is to make sure wherever folk are, that they are safe, they are treated respectfully, that perhaps a tenant's bill of rights is inserted within every lease agreement.
Relocation could happen regardless of the city's actions. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development threatened to pull federal funding from the complex and move it toward the relocation of residents. Assistance would be provided with the move, but for one resident, the thought of leaving after just returning was daunting.
I don't really know what we would do if they happen to remove all of us again. It was difficult for that short period of time.
The department gave the complex a 60-day window from the notification in January to correct the identified problems. The Monroe Group said it will appeal. That resident that you just heard from expressed some frustration with the Monroe Group, that management company, saying that if it had listened to residents earlier about some maintenance issues, perhaps some of the issues that we've dealt with for the last 5 weeks would not have happened. Reporting in Columbia, Chris Joseph, WIS News 10.